What are the most common misconceptions that stakeholders seem to have about testing? And of those common ones, how do you typically address them?
The first one would be trying to have a goal of no bugs. That's because it's always like, oh, we don't want any bugs. We don't want any bugs production. Varying phrases of that goal. And then that's tackled in two ways. One is saying that you can't really prove something doesn't exist. So it's like a logical fallacy. You can only prove something does exist. And then the second is talking about the way I see this way I try to talk about testing is testing aims to with testing you're trying to find an accurate depiction of reality, because there's the idea that you have of the state of the software, and then there's the reality. So what you're trying to do is run your test so that it matches the reality of how things actually are. So then I talk about that. That's the first misconception. The second would be around automation, that you should automate everything, that more automation is always better. And in that case, it's more, one, it's about what do you expect automation to achieve? Because technically automation, as I understand it, if you're not trying to talk about like generating test data, for example, and you're talking about running test cases, then essentially you're just checking that things stay the same. So then you actually can't discover new things with automation. So making sure that they understand that you need someone to program to find things. So it can only literally maintain a state. And then when I also address that misconception, it goes to resources. So it's like, well, if you want more of this, then what are you willing to give up? Because if you're not going to give me more budget, if you're not going to have more people, then what you're asking for, you're going to have less of something else. So I put it on them. And then another one is around how teams need testers. And I think teams need testing, but I don't necessarily think teams need, and this is a two-way. One, that teams need testers, and two, that teams don't need testers. So I'm a big, because I think it depends. So meaning some people like have a blanket statement of teams don't need testers, and that team quality can be a team effort, we're an agile, blah, blah, but then they haven't actually found a way to address the lack of a tester, to try and introduce that knowledge. They just take someone away and don't have a future plan. So then I think you're being weak. So trying to talk to them about, well, then what are you going to do? Like how to actually, so you need a plan to address those activities, those roles, if you're going to take away a tester. And the same thing about needing a tester. Some teams, I think, are mature enough and they actually have developers and other people who are really good at testing. So they don't actually need a tester either. So again, it's the flip side.